765 Palestinians are now thought to have died since the Israeli operation began a fortnight ago. Israel has confirmed the loss of 2 soldiers today, one killed by a Hamas anti-tank missile. Israel has banned international journalists from entering Gaza, but our diplomatic correspondent Jonathan Rugman reports now from the Israel-Gaza border.
This was one of 4 starving Palestinian children the ICRC accuses Israel of deliberately abandoning. For 4 days, ambulances tried to reach them, but the Israeli army said no. And when medics were allowed in, the children were found sitting among the corpses of at least a dozen people, including their own mothers.
We went into homes and found the injured and the living all in the same house. They had been there for more than 4 days. Of course, the bodies were decomposed.
Well, earlier I spoke to Katerina Ritz of the International Red Cross. She's head of mission here in Jerusalem. I asked her if she believed Israel no longer respects the neutrality of the International Red Cross.
Let's say they don't trust the neutrality of the humanitarian world, and they say, okay, we know, we trust you, but okay, there could be somebody in your car which you can't really tell us that somebody's there.
Now, when your team entered that area in Zaytun, what did they find? What they found is roadblocks and earth, mud walls covering, blocking the road. So we could not bring in the ambulances. The team had to walk for 1.5 kilometers or 1 kilometer. And then they started to see some dead bodies of women in front of doors. They went in the first house, they found dead bodies. They went into a second house, they found survivors. So this went on. They found in one house a woman, a mother, dead on the floor, and 2 children next to her, completely weakened because they hadn't had any food and water. They couldn't hardly stand on their own leg. And the team went through 10 houses and found at least 18 wounded. They evacuated 12 weak civilians but not wounded, and 4 children. But effectively, your teams in Gaza City are finding starving children sitting next to their dead mothers.
That's the situation they have, or that was the situation which was presented last night, and I think this was really shocking to see this.
What did the Israeli army do? Did they intervene in any way? Did they hinder your teams?
So what happened is, because they tried to ask to remove the roadblocks, so there was no reaction to this.
Israeli roadblocks?
Exactly. The earth mount from the Israeli to open the road so the ambulances can arrive. So this was not done, and what they went is to get a donkey cart. So they brought the donkey cart, and then with this they evacuated the people as much as possible, the wounded, the children, and 2 dead bodies, and brought out them through this to the 4 ambulances which were with them.
So Israeli soldiers were watching this, they were preventing ambulances from going in, and they were watching the ICRC remove injured people, starving children on a donkey cart?
Yes, that's what happened last night, yeah. So you can imagine the team and the ambulance drivers, they were really shocked having to face this situation, yeah.
Are you saying that the Israelis have breached their international obligations during this war?
I think it's very clear, and under the international humanitarian law, and every army has the obligation to tend the wounded and the civilians, to feed them if they cannot evacuate them, to treat them if they cannot get an ambulance in, and I think they have to have the deaths somehow with some dignity stored so that they can get afterwards a burial which is appropriately. So this was as well the most disturbing situation we found. The people alive, they were with the dead bodies, there was no food given, there was no medical treatment given, and the soldiers were nearby.
Are the Israelis failing in their international obligations?
When it comes to this incident yesterday, and we really hope this is the only incident, and then yes, they have failed to do this.
Well, I'm joined now by the Israeli Prime Minister spokesman, Mark Regev. Mr. Regev, thanks for being with us tonight.
Pleasure.
Can you explain to people why on earth Israeli Defence Forces wish to interfere and prevent the Red Cross reaching dead and wounded civilians?
We have no such intention. Ultimately, we will do what we can, what needs to be done to work with humanitarian organisations like the Red Cross.
Mr. Regev, for 3 days the Red Cross couldn't get to a situation where there were starving children sitting next to the corpses of their mothers. A lot of our viewers will be saying, in the name of humanity, what kind of government allows its soldiers to stop the RC getting to those people?
First of all, we have to investigate what happened. We have to make sure lines of communication are open and working, that the telephones are working. We have to make sure.
Mr. Regev, I think you know what happened. Your soldiers were there. They were close to this position. The Red Cross are not in the business of making this
I know,
up.
and we take the Red Cross very seriously, and that's why we're investigating. But I think you should also be aware that Hamas is playing the game of atrocity propaganda.
I'm not talking about Hamas, I'm talking about your soldiers preventing the Red Cross. No, I'm inviting you, Mr. Regev, to apologise to the Red Cross for this.
We want to work with the Red Cross. We see them as playing an important role. We have a good relationship with them. We want to continue that relationship. There's a difficult combat situation, as you know, in Gaza. In spite of the difficulties, we want to work with the Red Cross and help them do their job.
Mr. Regev, the Red Cross had to walk 1 kilometre to reach these people. Your soldiers prevented them getting their ambulances in. Your soldiers forced the Red Cross to get these people out, starving children, on a donkey cart. In the name of humanity, what is Israel doing?
I want to be clear here. It's a difficult combat situation. You know that. People are getting killed. Our soldiers are under constant fire. We have to work despite that difficult situation, it's incumbent upon us to work effectively.
No, this will not do. Your soldiers were not under fire
How do you know that, sir? How do you know that? 3 days my soldiers were not under fire?
I'm not talking about 3 days.
The Red Cross knows that my soldiers were under fire.
They went in there to rescue those people. They were not under fire.
At that particular time, but maybe many situations were. Maybe they were in danger. You don't know this. Your sources here, I'm saying they're good sources, but they're only giving part of the picture. They're giving part of the picture. There's a difficult combat situation in Gaza. Everybody knows that.
My source is the head of the Red Cross mission in Gaza and the head of the Red Cross mission in Jerusalem. These people are not in the business of propaganda.
I agree, and we want to work with them, and we agree with them. But I do know also that the Hamas movement has an interest in portraying humanitarian crisis for their own political purposes. We want to work with the international community, with the Red Cross, as best we can in a difficult situation to alleviate this sort of hardship.
The Red Cross is saying that trust has broken down. Israel, almost alone globally, appears not to recognise the neutrality of the Red Cross.
On the contrary, we want to work with the Red Cross. I'll say it again. We think they're an important organisation. We want to work with them. We will do what we can to facilitate their important work. And if we've had problems because of the very difficult combat situation, we'll work to solve those problems.
Can we expect an official apology, at least for this one incident, in the coming days?
If we find that we did something wrong, of course we'll be talking apologise, but we have to get all the facts in.
That's a promise.
Once again, if we did something wrong, we have to find out exactly what happened. Surely you're fully in favour of finding out exactly what happened.
I am indeed. Mr. Regev, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
My pleasure.
That is all from us from Jerusalem. Back to you, John, in London.